Hey, what's going on, everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech. And today we're going to be talking about $20 Gruul Dinosaurs. Very excited to bring this list to you, obviously because it's dinosaurs. Those who have been watching the channel for a while know that I love to play dinosaurs in Pioneer. So before we hop into the video, let me know in the comment section below what you think about the list at the end of the video. Is there any card that I should include, as well as good upgrade options, which we'll kind of get more into detail with upgrade options, but I built a lot of different Gruul Dinosaur lists, and you should definitely check those out on the channel after this video. My regular non-budget Gruul Dinosaurs list for Pioneer, there will be a you can click on the screen at the end of the video. There'll be a link that'll take you right to that video. Which it's pretty similar to this list overall, but there's definitely some big upgrades in terms of some of the creatures as well as the land base and everything like that. So let's go and hop into it here. So our one drops, we're playing 4 Land of Werewolves, 4 Exili's Lorekeeper, and 4 Commune with Dinosaurs. Land of Werewolves and Exili's Lorekeeper is pretty self-explanatory. They're just the mana dorks. We need mana dorks to be able to pump out some of our bigger dinosaurs. I chose to play Exili's Lorekeeper instead of Elvish Mystic in this deck just because the dual lands are not quite as good, so we want to make sure we have available red mana at our disposal for our dinosaurs. So that's why I decided to play Exili's Lorekeeper over the Elvish Mystic, but both are still solid options, as well as 4 in Commune with Dinosaurs. Basically an Ancient Stirrings for our dinosaur deck. It's fantastic. I always play Commune with Dinosaurs in my dinosaur lists. Well, except one, but that one's a little bit different. But Commune with Dinosaurs is still a fantastic card. Obviously, it's able to fix our hand a little bit. We look at the top 5. Put a dinosaur or land into our hand. So for a land short, we grab it with a Commune, or if we're looking for like a Belligerent Yearling, a Hammer Skull, or late game, we just need some action, we can go ahead and put that into our hand with Commune with Dinosaurs. So definitely a big fan of the card. Next slide here, we have a little bit of our removal as well as some of our 2-drops. We're playing 4 Triumphant Chomp as our removal spell of choice. There's definitely a couple different cards you could choose in the slot. Normally in my non-budget list, I play Reckless Rage, but I decided to play Triumphant Chomp in this style list. 1 red sorcery deals 2 damage to target creature equal to 2 or the greatest power among dinosaurs you control, whichever is greater. Definitely a very, very powerful removal spell. Potentially in this deck, we can do up to 6 damage with Pugnacious Hammer Skull, which is pretty sweet. So definitely a big fan of Triumphant Chomp. And then our 2-drop creatures, we're playing 4 Belligerent Yearlings and 1 Itzquinth, Firstborn of Gishath. So I decided to play Belligerent Yearling in this list over the normal card Marauding Raptor, pretty much just because of budgetary reasons. We're at a $20 budget, so I decided to just play the uncommon as opposed to the rare, which definitely costs a couple bucks, which when you're doing a $20 deck, it adds up pretty quick. So Belligerent Yearling is still a fantastic card, though, don't get it wrong. Whenever another dinosaur enters the battlefield, we can have it copy its base power, which is pretty sweet. So, you know, it can be up to as big as a 6/2 with Pugnacious Hammer Skull, but most of the time it's going to get 4 power, which is just a really good rate in general. Itzquinth is just great because it's at a really aggressive 2-drop, and then if we have 4 mana, we can Zotch something for at least 2 damage, but most of the time it's going to be more than that. So definitely a big fan of the Itzquinth in the deck overall. So our next slide here, this is what I would say is technically our bigger drops, but kind of like our medium-large creatures. We're playing 4 Pugnacious Hammer Skulls and 4 Rampaging Raptors. Pugnacious Hammer Skull is just really good. It's essentially a 6/6 for 3 in this deck. It's very rarely ever going to have a stun counter on it. I've played this card a while since the Lost Caverns of Ixalan has came out, and I don't think I've ever put a stun counter on it. So it's pretty much just a 3-mana 6/6, which is definitely a very, very good rate. Rampaging Raptor, fantastic card, 4/4 for 4, trample haste. It has fire breathing, and then when it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target Planeswalker that player controls or battle that player protects, which we're not playing any battles in this deck, but being able to do some additional damage to a Planeswalker is definitely a pretty solid upside, so definitely a big fan of Rampaging Raptor. And then rounding out our creatures, we're playing 4 Shifting Ceratops and 4 Palani's Hatcher. Shifting Ceratops, I'm definitely a fan of. The card, I think, it hasn't gotten worse. It's just they've been putting a lot of really good dinosaurs recently. So Shifting Ceratops has kind of been moved to, you know, kind of more of a sideboard card. But when, again, we're on a $20 budget, a 50-cent powerful rare dinosaur is exactly what we want to be playing. 5/4 can't be countered. Protection from blue, so if our opponent's playing a blue deck, they are just not having a good time with this card. And then we can tap a green, give it reach, trample, or haste until end of turn. So Shifting Ceratops is definitely very powerful. Polani's Hatcher, I'm a big fan of this new card from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. 5/3 for 5. Other dinosaurs you can draw with haste. When there's a battlefield, make 2 0/1 green dinosaur egg creature tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an egg, you can sacrifice an egg, then create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token. Definitely a big fan of Polani's Hatcher. It's essentially better than Register Alpha in this list, just because Marauding Raptor is typically, well, if you're playing Register Alpha, you want to be playing Marauding Raptor just because Marauding Raptor kills the egg tokens when they enter, and in this case we're not playing Marauding Raptor, so I highly suggest playing Polani's Hatcher. You can still obviously play Register Alpha, but I personally think in this shell Polani's Hatcher is better overall because we're not playing Marauding Raptor. So that's our entire main board except for our lands, which it's going to be really fast here because we're a budget deck. Our only dual lands we're playing are 4 Game Trail and 4 Cinderglade. The best budget dual lands you can be playing. Cinderglade comes in untapped pretty consistently for this deck just because, you know, we're playing a ton of basics. Game Trail pretty easily, I mean, as long as we don't have just like 2 or 3 Game Trails in our hand, this card's going to be coming to play untapped on the early turns of the game, which obviously you can reveal Cinderglade to have Game Trail come in untapped, which is pretty sweet. And then rounding out our lands, we're playing 9 forests and 6 mountains. As our spicy basic land of the day, I decided to pick out a couple of the they're not cold snap, they're like the Ice Age remastered kind of basic lands. Definitely, these are the original art from Ice Age, but they have the new basic land or newer-ish basic land border. Definitely a big fan of these arts just in general. They look pretty sweet. I definitely like a lot of the Ice Age era of basics because obviously there's the snowlands and then they have the regular non-snowlands, which obviously there's snow on both of those, so I mean, you tell me, it's technically a snow-covered forest at that point. I mean, but definitely a big fan of these arts in general. And I forgot to mention this with the dual lands, but you know, when we're on a $20 limit, it's really tough to have powerful duels. When we typically do the $50 decks, which we do a lot on the channel here, it's very easy to, you know, we'd be able to put in like Copperline Gorge and, you know, even some Carplusian Forests, but for $20, we pretty much can only play 25-cent lands for the most part. So it definitely adds up pretty quick. So that's our entire main board, but we have a couple things we have to talk about. We're going to talk about sideboarding as well as some upgrade options. Sideboarding is pretty simple overall. We're going to want some Graveyard Hate. Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern are definitely the best options for the metagame, especially at a budget. And then extra removal cards like Lithomantic Barrage, Witchstalker Frenzy, those are both fantastic to play in the sideboard, as well as Damping Sphere and Cindervines. They're really good against a number of different decks. Cindervines is good against any deck that plays a lot of artifacts or enchantments, as well as mid-range decks that play a lot of non-creatures. Damping Sphere, obviously very good against Lotus combo deck. It's still pretty good against Mono Green. Mono Green is not as big because it did get nerfed with the recent card banning, but overall it's still definitely a powerful card to be playing in the sideboard. If you want to know my exact sideboard, the deck list is in the description below if you'd like to check that out for yourself, as well as the upgrade options. It's pretty simple. If you're looking to upgrade this deck, I would definitely put in Marauding Raptor and Galta. They're very powerful cards. Again, I would normally include these, but unfortunately $20 makes that a little tough, as well as upgrading the dual lands, putting in cards like Stomping Ground, as well as Copperline Gorge, Carplusian Forest, Cavern of Souls if you happen to have a few of them, as well as some of the utility lands like Sukenzen and Boseiju. It's pretty much it. That's essentially the only upgrades you need for the deck. I think with my current list right now, I want to say the deck is around $150, $200. It could be a little bit more with the recent addition of Cavern of Souls, but the deck is extremely cheap if you want to play a non-budget version, which pretty much popping up about this time should be my regular list if you're looking to check that out for yourself. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. Definitely was very fun to do $20 dinosaurs. A lot of people have been requesting this just because the $20 decks are getting very popular on the channel. So let me know in the comment section below, what's your favorite card in the list? Is there a card I should have included that I did not? And do you have any suggestions for upcoming videos? Just let me know in the comment section below. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.